What's up, guys? It is That Panagon. I'm here again with another video, and we're going to be talking about this recent kind of update on the recent patch note that everybody's kind of outraged about. We're doing another video, yes. I thought it was kind of necessary to do a video on it, though, as a lot of people have still been outraged, really pissed off, and are not willing to settle with the 500 helps. And I'll kind of give my thoughts on this. I'll kind of cover it, and I'll kind of cover why people are upset and still are unwilling to settle with this, and why I think they are. But that being said, let's hop into it. We'll talk a bit about it, and we'll kind of just run through this. So basically, they say we're grateful for your unwavering passion. Since the release of this update, we have received extensive feedback, and in response to your feedback, we have conducted in-depth discussion and have implemented the following optimizations and adjustments to the healing help feature. I want to say really quickly, I'm not really sure if this is actually true. It's always possible these guys had this in their back pocket, for example, right? Where like I feel like a lot of the games kind of do this, where they'll introduce a really bad update and they'll kind of take a step back and say, hey, we hear you guys, we're going to soften our bad update. And then you basically think, hey, these guys are listening to us, although it could have been worse because this is what they originally offered us, which was poop. They ended up offering us poop on a pedestal, right? And it's kind of like one of those things where I think that they kind of like take a step back and they make you feel like you're heard, and maybe that's what people are upset about. And I also think that there's just an accumulation of irritation with IGG and the constant updates that people are upset with. And I would say like the biggest example of this would be like every single post for the past year they have on Discord, be it update related or not, you have tons of people that just send the middle finger emoji on it, which is kind of funny, but it kind of just exemplifies how people are feeling with these constant updates, and I think just how people's kind of current mood is with the game, its direction and whatnot. That being said, let's just keep going. So they say they adjusted the command, or sorry, before I jump in this, I actually want to talk about something else. So there's the new subscription feature. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but in the subscription, if you have the privileged subscription, you get this kind of thing that gives you auto helps to your alliance. And I feel like the game could have literally only did this, right? And just ignored the help thing, and they could have just had this privileged subscription feature. And I honestly wouldn't have had an issue if they increased the privilege subscription price to, let's say, $10, or they added a different kind of subscription of sorts, right? With this helping feature, right? And maybe other goodies, kind of like how you have the monthly pass that gives you like gems and allows you to entrust your account, etc., etc. And the reason I say this is because a lot of people speculated that this was what they were doing to get rid of people outsourcing bots, which would have made sense, right? It would have made them money as well as getting rid of these bots, which I think one reason they want to get rid of the bots is because there's so many accounts that are running up on their servers, which also would kind of be really good for us because we would probably get less lag. There's a lot less accounts running and stuff. So it really doesn't make sense why this is what I'm going to complain about, is that there's a like kind of delay, right? When you're doing helps and stuff, it's not bad exactly. I could still see it being very useful. I don't really have an issue with the helps in itself, right? But I feel like if they kind of just had a different pay model, it would have made more sense. If they made these helps immediate, kind of like bots are, it would have made more sense because there's no reason for me to not have bots still, because these helps aren't immediate, and they can be like, I wouldn't say super slow, but they can be much slower than obviously bots would be. And I feel like they should just try to like go towards this direction. I don't really know. And I also want to say real quick, I do think like a lot of people, at least myself, I understand that IGG is a company. I understand that at the end of the day, their bottom dollar is the most important thing to them. And that's why I don't really have an issue with them kind of putting out updates that are going to just completely, make them money. But I think it's generally to a moderate degree, right? You want to make sure these guys are kind of taking into account the fact that they're still like running a game, and you're not a cow, you're not trying to get milked, but you do understand at the end of the day they're going to make updates that are going to benefit them, that are going to make them money. That's why like things like Workshop didn't surprise me. It's more like, for example, when Workshop came out, the only complaint I had was how fast they had these new features like Workshop and parts or armaments, etc., constantly coming out and pumping out into the game. Whereas I feel like maybe that could have been coming out a lot slower. And I'm sorry, it's a bit of a tangent, but I felt like this was kind of important to mention. just in general, like I think like them being a company isn't an issue. Them trying to make money isn't an issue. That's why I think them trying to get rid of people outsourcing bots would have made a lot of sense. But they need to do it the right way if they're going to do it, and that would have been much better than even like introducing this at all, right? But let's keep going. Adjusted commanders can initiate healing requests without cooldown for the first 100 times each day. Commanders can initiate healing requests without a cooldown for the first 500 times each day. So it went from the 100 times each day to 500 times. And to be fair, for me in general, I would say this is somewhat moderate. I don't really have as much of an issue with this personally, right? Because obviously this isn't going to be too bad for me. I can maybe heal, let's say, 1.5 million troops off these 500 healing requests, right? But I think one really big issue that I saw a lot of people complaining about, and was actually a really good point, was, for example, people that can only heal 500 troops per batch because they don't have 30 accounts that can instantly help, etc., etc. And that's kind of fair, right? I understand that. And that's why this 500 helps would be kind of deflated for them, and it wouldn't really reach the same value, as well as people just not really wanting to settle with the game. They kind of feel like this is a cheap shot for them. I don't really know. At the end of the day, it's really you and your own opinion how you feel about this. Like for me personally, I can manage with 500 helps a day or help requests a day, but I would still like there to be no like limitation on how much I can heal. And it goes from, by the way, a 5-minute cooldown from the 100 request with a 5-minute cooldown for every single additional help request for to now 500 with the 3-minute cooldown. So the cooldown is minus 2 minutes. So there's that, I suppose. And basically, they explain how the healing requests work. For some people, I'm assuming people kind of saw this update and assumed that the healing was referring to individual helps, right? So like the healing request, they probably thought 500 would be the actual helps, right? Basically how this works is it's not the helps, it's how many times you can initiate helps, right? So if you take, one of these healing requests, you can basically go to 499, but one of those times is 30 helps in itself. So maybe I explained that pretty poorly, but it says it pretty well here. Initiating healing requests refers to the number of requests you can send, not the number of times you can receive help. For example, if you initiate 300 healing requests, you can receive up to 9,000 healing helps, meaning that, obviously for every healing request, you get 30 helps, basically the gist of it. Increased healing resource rewards in large cross-server events, such as increased healing speedups in War Meets War and increased rescue elixir rewards in Island Raid. I don't really care for the freaking healing speedup rewards because I'm pretty sure this is what they're talking about, like after the event where you can help your team heal, and it's like, why is that really useful? I mean, the rescue elixirs could be nice, but to be fair, it's probably only gonna be like one rescue elixir, which is 50k troops, which is still nice, but I don't know. There's a lot of outrage around this. I don't really know how to feel completely. I'm kind of like, I'm just kind of like, bleh. You know what I mean? I honestly wouldn't have had too much of an issue with the 100 healing requests, and let me just tell you guys why. I feel like someone said it perfectly. They were like, "Thank you, IGG, for giving me my life back because I won't have to freaking spend." Because basically they would probably go into one fight, right, and they fill their hospital and just kind of leave, right? So now I have to freaking still get resources, unfortunately. Whereas if it was the 100 healing requests, I could fight once and I could just go to bed and be like, all right, it's not my problem anymore. You know what I mean? But yeah, you guys give me your thoughts on this. You guys let me know what you guys think. I do appreciate you guys for watching as always. And I hope you guys have a great day or night, though. I will see you guys in the next video. You guys leave your opinions in the comment section, and I'll see you guys. That is about it, and peace out.